We're in the Strait of Hormuz. The very air here feels heavy, thick with the tension of screeching metal and invisible electromagnetic waves. We are right at the heart of a confrontation that has the potential to reshape the entire global order. Take a look at this. What you're seeing unfold isn't a battle in the way you might think. No, this is something else entirely. It's the beginning of a calculated, strategic self-destruction, and it's all playing out on the world's most critical waterway. So how does it all start? With an incredibly brazen act of defiance. The Russian missile frigate, the Admiral Gorshkov, makes a deliberate move to cut directly across the bow of the American supercarrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Now you have to understand, in the world of naval operations, a gap of just 450 meters, well, that's no accident. That's a message. This is an intentional, high-stakes game of chicken played with warships that can carry nuclear weapons. It's a provocation you just don't expect to see. And what makes this so audacious is the sheer difference in scale. You have a 5,400-ton Russian frigate challenging a 100,000-ton American mobile fortress. On the bridge of the Ford, collision alarms are screaming as this much smaller ship challenges a vessel that literally towers over it like an insulted god. And you have to remember, the stakes here aren't just military, they're global. The Strait of Hormuz is the planet's oil lifeline. Any real conflict here could vaporize 20% of the world's entire oil supply, just like that. We're talking about a move that could trigger a global economic collapse. The physical confrontation is one thing, but now the battle shifts. It goes invisible. We're moving from the physical world into the electromagnetic spectrum. Moscow has just decided it's time to play its electronic warfare card. About 150 nautical miles away, Russia's Murmansk system comes to life, blasting out millions of watts of energy. Now, this isn't just jamming GPS. That would be too simple. This is GPS spoofing. It's replacing real satellite signals with a fake, lethal reality. Aboard the destroyer USS Thomas Hudner, the crew is being fed false data, making them think they're safe when, in reality, they're being pulled right toward an underwater reef. But here's where Moscow made a fatal mistake. While civilian ships in the area begin to panic, the U.S. Navy calmly activates something called the MCAN Alpha Protocol. It's a planned countermeasure for exactly this kind of attack. They perform what is essentially a digital lobotomy, just cutting the cord on all external satellite data. They don't need a satellite 20,000 kilometers up to tell them where they are. The American response is, well, it's brilliant. While the Russians think they've blinded the entire fleet, the Ford's advanced electro-optical sensors are seeing the battlefield in a completely different light. Thermal signatures. They see the heat from the Russian engines, the vibrations on the frigate's deck, all of it in stunning 4K resolution. They can see right to the enemy's core. All right, so just as that electronic fog is lifting, a new threat pops up from the coast. Iran is now entering the conflict, and they're about to teach a lesson in what's known as asymmetric warfare. Picture this: 70 small, fast attack boats come swarming out from hidden coastal caves. But they're not charging the American warships. No, they're doing something much more clever. They're weaving in and out of a line of about 15 civilian supertankers, effectively turning these massive oil carriers into human shields. It's a textbook move in asymmetric warfare. And Iran knows exactly what it's doing. They know that for the U.S. Navy to fire on that swarm, they'd risk hitting a tanker. An explosion like that could be the equivalent of a small tactical nuke. The enemy is literally using American morality, its own rules of engagement, as a weapon against it. So as the situation at sea level gets choked by this trap, you have to look up, way up. A new threat is appearing in the stratosphere, a pure white ghost arriving to complete this destructive picture. Moscow is now initiating a coordinated tactic known as the vertical squeeze. The idea is simple. While Iran's boats create chaos down below, Russian strategic bombers create a second threat from high altitude. It's designed to overwhelm the electronic brain of the U.S. Navy's defense grid, forcing it to look up and down at the exact same time. At 45,000 feet, two Tu-160M White Swan bombers, these are the largest combat aircraft on Earth, begin to open their weapon bays. They're carrying KH-101 stealth cruise missiles, forcing the American Aegis defense system to split its focus between the sky and the sea. But here's the thing about a modern networked battlefield. The Russians have forgotten something crucial. 20 minutes ago, F-35C Lightning II jets launched silently from the Ford, and using absolute stealth, they've been closing in on those bombers from behind. Moscow thinks they're the hunters here. In reality, they're the prey, and they've flown right into a pre-planned kill zone.
So, while the Russia-Iran alliance is feeling pretty good about its complex plan, the U.S. Navy decides it's time to unleash the real punishment. This is where the Spectra warriors come in.
And this really gets to the core question of this whole confrontation, right? When your enemy is hiding behind human shields and coordinating attacks from every direction, how do you win without ever firing a shot? The answer isn't a missile, it's silence. 2 specialized aircraft, EA-18G Growlers, take flight. They are predators of the electromagnetic spectrum. Using a system called cognitive electronic warfare, they don't just jam the enemy's communications. Their AI analyzes, learns, and then completely hijacks their network patterns, turning their own systems against them. For those 70 Iranian boats, the result is a sudden, suffocating silence. It's like surgical warfare, but on the radio waves. And now for the final move, the one that represents the ultimate humiliation for the Russian and Iranian alliance. While their commanders are still fighting with dead radios, the final checkmate is about to be revealed. The time is 17:15 hours. At the exact midpoint between the Iranian coast and the USS Gerald R. Ford, the deep blue water of the strait suddenly begins to boil. A massive, black steel hull tears through the surface. It's the USS South Dakota, an untraceable ghost from the deep. Its appearance isn't an act of war, it's an act of psychological surgery. And the message is ice cold and brutally simple. We have been right beneath your feet for the last 72 hours, and you had no idea. And to really drive the point home, that submarine is carrying 65 Tomahawk cruise missiles. Each one has already been preloaded with the exact coordinates of Iran's top-secret command bunkers and missile sites. The American blade is already at their throat. And just like that, it's over. The Russian frigate turns and leaves. The Iranian speedboats retreat back to their caves. Not a single shot was fired, but the victory was absolute. The enemy brought a 20th century plan to a 21st century data-driven fight. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In this new age of conflict, where you can see everything, know everything, and control your opponent's reality, is total information dominance the ultimate weapon?